Right, no idea if this camera's too high, too low. This is for you, George. The old beastie is running, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to post this for other T160 owners as well. Those poor, unfortunate people that own these bloody T160s. I love them, but they're a pain to work on. I'm going to show George the beastie running. And here we go, George. This is the beast. Let's see if I can do this. The choke cable and the clutch cable is they're a little bit convoluted. The choke cable is ridiculous, but oh well. Anyway, it needs a clean up, but she's all there. Everything's back together. The gears all work. So, the reason I'm doing this video partly is because of an electrical mod I made to it. Okay, so ignition on. The neutral light, it comes and goes. It's got a horrible Lucas switch on the gearbox, which I took apart and I thought I got it working, but it'll come on sometimes, but sometimes it won't. Okay, so you can probably hear a relay clicking. That's my modification. There's a relay that feeds the ignition module. Because the white wire that goes from here just wasn't cutting it. The voltage was too low, so the thing was running horribly. So, okay, let's see if she fires up. Probably stalled because it's cold, but it's quite hard to do. I can do the gears. That's second actually. Third, fourth, fifth. My neutral's kind of in there somewhere. Right, so the gears all working. Clutch is dragging, it'll need bedding in. It's all good. This left-hand carb here is a little suspect on the idle circuit side, but she's running and she's idling, so I'm not too bothered about that. And the modification, there's a white wire that goes into the boiler. I mounted the boiler down there, George. I'm going to get a flashlight so you can see what's going on here. If I can find one, oh, there we go, there's one here. When I put the side panel on here, of course that gets in the way of the seat opening properly. So this seat strap here is just a waste of time because the side panel's holding it. There's the boiler, and there's a white wire there. That white wire is the negative feed to the boiler. The positive goes to the frame because the thing's positive ground. The negative feed comes from this white wire down here. That one there I think it is the one that I've got all heat shrunk. That wire comes from this switch, and that white wire comes from where the loom splits to the various circuits, to the lighting circuit, to whatever circuit, and then they just join it basically on the loom, and then it comes into here and then it feeds the ignition module. But there's a slight difference on these. Oh, I can't show you now because there's the side panels on. There's a ballast resistor because the original coils were 6 volt, 3 6-volt coils, and they were parallel fed. So that meant each contact breaker fed one coil. Usually only one coil at a time was energized because of course it was cycling through all 3 cylinders. So you only got the current drain through one coil, which even though hefty, probably 3-4 amps, wasn't too terrible. With this boiler on it, we've got 3 4-volt coils, which are fed in series. It's a waste of spark system, so basically they work all the time on every compression stroke, so every 120 degrees basically. And because you're feeding 3 coils permanently with 10 amps, although that cycles a little bit when the bike's running, it puts a huge stress on the wiring loom, and So that portable white wire, by the time, the thing just wouldn't, it would start, sort of, run horribly, misfire, I thought it was a calibration issue, couldn't figure it out. When I measured the voltage down here, to the feed, to the white wire, to the boiler, it was 7.2 volts, which I didn't even know a boiler would work at 7.2 volts. I think the lowest I've ever seen is about 8.5 or 9. So what I've done, I fitted this relay. There's a relay there, automatic relay, don't know if you can see that properly. So now what happens is that switch, instead of powering the boiler, it powers the relay. So the relay, one side's the ground, the other side goes to that switch, and then when the relay is switched on, it connects the battery, this wire here, it's a big thick yellow wire, through a fuse to the relay, from the relay to the white input to the boiler, and it's got a rock steady 12 volts in there. So it fires up and it runs, and I don't know when this bike was last run, it was years ago I think. The carbs seem clean. I went right through them, set the float heights, but it is a little, mind you, it's got 3 cracked plugs in it, which could be the issue. 2 of them are for my Bonneville over there. One of them is one that actually was on the bike, it was a new N3. The other 2, God knows, I can't remember what they were. They weren't even near right for the bike. So I've binned those, and I've stolen the 2 from the Bonneville, which are B80Ss. I prefer NGKs, but they're old. They're about 5 years old, so I don't even know how it's running. But it is running, so it could be that the miss, slight miss, is the plugs. But as I say, she will go. And I'll leave an idle. How about that? A little bit of tinkering around with the carbs with the, if you leave the cover off the air intake, you can actually listen to each of the carbs with a hose, so you can set it up. Anyway, she's bloody done. Oh, I put these on too, George, just as you know. These are the tank was full of absolute garbage. Although, funnily enough, the tank's actually, once I emptied the garbage out of it, it was actually quite clean. The seams were looking a little bit, yeah, not quite sure. So I just put a little bit of oil, a little bit of two-stroke in there, and then put it down the seams, and then filled it up with gas. Put those filters on just in case there's any more, but you can take them off at some point because I've actually left the tails on there. I fed them on the inside of the carb rather than on the outside. They're long enough that they'll fit straight onto there. So at some point you can bin those. There are no filters on the taps, which there should be. I can't remember which is the reserve. I think this is the normal one. The reserves on the other side. There's 3 little filters in the intakes, just there. I don't even know if you can see those things. The little tiny little intake manifolds there. There's carburetor fuel manifolds. I don't even know what you call those. There's tiny filters inside, but I wouldn't want to trust those. So I put these on, one on each side. So that's it. She's going. You're welcome to her. I don't mean it. I'm insanely jealous.